and Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries: fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump's cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine. The Constitution is not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA County, Committee for the First Amendment, and more. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When I first saw you, baby, I wanted you down. Me and those dream eyes of mine started to cry in a dream. Wishing my fantasy should become a reality. Every time I see you, baby, all I do is sigh. 'Cause you're the most precious thing, baby, I got my dreaming eyes has ever seen. So I can take a dream, me and those dreaming eyes of mine.
I was not ready for that one, Miles. D'Angelo, come on. Rest in peace, rest in power, King. He's 51 years young. It was lovely, is lovely to see all the tributes people are doing to this man. And for some reason, when people pass, we get to find out how much influence they had on everybody else. I love me some D'Angelo. Yes, I do. And I got a call yesterday from my bonus daughter because one of the first things we did together when I married her dad was I took her to see D'Angelo. We were in the front row and D'Angelo gave her a rose. That's one of those things you never, ever in your life forget. So sweet. Rest in peace, King. Man almighty. Too soon. Imagine Angie Stone, the son of Angie Stone and D'Angelo saying, basically pray for me, y'all. Losing two parents within 1 year. That's a lot. That's really a lot. Rest in power, rest in peace. Happy to bring a new voice into the conversation here on First Things First this morning. She has got an expertise in health justice, which she brings to her organization, Moms Clean Airforce, with a special focus on climate and children's health under the umbrella of community health justice. She works on clean air and health issues for moms, and it's a natural progression, she says, of her 30-year career as an executive attorney and advocate for organizations focused on healthcare, health justice, and women and girls. Almeta E. Cooper, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Seems like it must be a very, 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 very busy time for you.
Indeed it is. There's so much going on, and we are really, at Moms Clean Airforce, our 1.6 million members are focused on making sure that we can protect clean air and the future for our children.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I don't understand about, climate denial and what's happening right now with the EPA and the rollback of clean air standards. All of these people have kids and grandkids, or most of them do. Do they hate their grandkids and kids? I don't understand that mentality.
I don't have an answer for what you just said, but what I can tell you is that most people do care about children, regardless of their political party, and they really do want to make sure that children have clean air to breathe and are healthy. And there's a big connection between health and clean air.
Yeah, like you die if you can't breathe. Let's start there.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
I know that's the extreme example, but to me, that should inform every other bad outcome that comes from breathing dirty air.
And, unfortunately, a lot of people really don't understand the connection between health and clean air. There are some organizations like the Yale Climate Center for Communications and the George Mason University Center for Communications that have done a lot of research that say that most people are no longer climate deniers. Most people accept that there's climate change. Unfortunately, they don't talk about it. And so therefore, not as much happens as could be happening when people speak up.
Right. And I always say, because some folks think it's not their issue or we don't prioritize it. For me, all other issues are moot if we do not have a livable planet. You will be dead, and then it won't matter where you are on any other issue.
I like to say that we're all under the same sky, that air pollution doesn't know any boundaries.
That's a lot more cheerful. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't, I feel like it is important to remember that it's not all is lost. We can still win this, but also that there's a certain urgency here in this issue. So tell me about the Moms Clean Air Force. What is that organization? What do you guys do? How did it come to be?
So Moms Clean Air Force has been in existence about 13 years, and our founder, Dominique gathered like-minded women who were concerned about their children and about clean air. And we now have, I think I mentioned, 1.6 million people across the country. We have members in California and in Los Angeles, of course. And what we are focused on is giving moms, dads, and caregivers, empowering them to know that what we have to do is to speak up, to communicate with our elected officials at every level, and to take action, and to take collective action, because it's hard for anyone to be successful doing this work alone. And, obviously we want you to join Moms Clean Air Force, but you could join any organization of like-minded individuals who are really doing everything they can at the grassroots level and the national level to make sure that our elected officials protect clean air for our children. And a lot of people don't understand that the most vulnerable among us, babies, children, pregnant women, people over the age of 65, people who live in communities that are under-resourced and have low income. So a lot of times they don't have the opportunity to have their voices heard. So we have to make sure that we're speaking for all of these people.
Yeah. Do you think that moms have some kind of added impact or some kind of moral high ground in being able to get folks to listen when it comes to the climate emergency? Because as you said, if people know this is real, but they're not talking about it, not acting on it, and kind of pushing it to the back of their minds, I'm not sure how you break through that.
Well, one of the things that we often say at Moms is listen to your mothers. And and most people do listen to their mothers. And also underlying the message that we have is really the positive emotion of love, because mothers love their children. And we try to get other people to embrace that concept as well.
Yeah. Well, the thing about air is you can't build a wall. Right. You can't. Here in California, we have stricter standards, or we have had. I'm not sure how they're going to hold up with this current administration, but we can't just build a wall around California. We are good. All you guys over there, enjoy your terrible choked out air. We can't do that. It's like you said, we're all under the same sky. So what does that mean in terms of organizing, in terms of your organizing strategies?
So one of the first things that we try to do is to give people facts, evidence-based facts about air pollution and how it's affecting our entire community. And as I just mentioned, there are certain parts of our community that are more affected than others. As a mother and as a new grandmother, I have a
Congrats.
new grandson who's 6 weeks old.
Wow.
And anybody who knows how grandmothers are about their grandchildren and how much they love them, it really makes you think about what is the future going to be like. One of the things that we want people to know is that, for example, for pregnant women, how air pollution affects them. There's preterm birth, low weight birth, miscarriages, stillbirth, and also it can impact the child in the womb and cause neurological problems later in life. Many children whose mothers are exposed to extreme heat and air pollution have asthma and respiratory illnesses that last into adulthood. And in your community in Los Angeles, you know from the wildfires and that heat, how that also exacerbates the problems for pregnant women and for children.
Yeah, which is scary. I mean, what are we meant to do? We've got to call our lawmakers. We have to make policy changes. But if you're pregnant right now, what do you head to Alaska where the air is cleaner?
Well, one of the things that's unfortunate is that sometimes people are very glib and they suggest to people, oh, well, just move away. You know, not everybody has the financial resources.
Yeah, most
to
of us
just
don't,
move away.
right? Yeah, most of us don't.
Yeah. So that's why we have to make people aware. And, you know, a lot of times in cities, they have urban heat islands because there's not tree canopy.
Yeah.
And, you know, the reflection from the asphalt makes the heat even worse. There's some studies that show in different parts of the same city, just because one part of the city doesn't have trees and doesn't have shade, there can be a 5 or 6 degree difference in temperature. And heat is one of the worst impacts for pregnant women of all of the issues that are related to extreme weather. So that's a deep concern for us. In fact, at Moms Clean Airforce in May, we had a program just devoted to maternal health and the dangers of climate and all of the toxins, chemicals, plastics that affect pregnant women. And we had about 30,000 listeners who were able to benefit from that conversation.
Well, I want to get to know more of these impacts and also what we can do about them, what you guys are doing about them with Moms Clean Airforce. Almeta Cooper is our guest, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love. Now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Hello, KBLA listeners. This is Dr. Paul Wallace. I want to discuss a type of eczema called atopic dermatitis, which is often misdiagnosed in Black children and adults. Atopic dermatitis is an autoimmune disorder that can be accompanied by food allergies, hay fever, and asthma. This rash targets the inner arms, behind the knees, and face, but can go all over the body. It causes excessive dryness and 24/7 itching. It's the scratching and steroid use that leads to permanent scarring. I'm enrolling patients in a new clinical research study focused on better treatment options for atopic dermatitis. Of course, your medication and travel reimbursements are provided. To see if you qualify, visit dermstudies.com or call us at 323-296-0048. That's 323-296-0048. There's nothing worse than itching. Let's take the next step in controlling this problem.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And I do appreciate you. We're talking with Almeta Cooper, and her organization is Moms Clean Airforce. It's literally what it sounds like, trying to clean up the air and trying to hold politicians and I assume corporations accountable for what they're doing that is endangering the future of our planet and the future of breathable air for our children specifically.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't often think about is just the impact of air pollution and health. So many people don't know that the fourth leading cause of death worldwide is air pollution. And in the United States, it's suspected that soot pollution, which is very tiny particles of soot that are smaller than a human hair, cause maybe about 50,000 deaths annually. And some researchers have said that the various variety of deaths that could be caused by variety of air pollutants could be as much as 91,000 to 200,000 a year. So that it really is significant. And in the first 100 days of the current administration, they canceled $20 billion in climate grants. They've tried to weaken protections of the Clean Air Act, purge scientific research on climate, and attack state climate laws. You referenced that about California. We don't know what the full impact of that will be. And they canceled over 800 environmental justice grants. And that's just the start of the things that have been occurring and that we're fighting against. Another thing that has happened is that there's been over $1 billion in national science research that's been cut, $4.5 billion to NIH. And NIH is the National Institutes of Health. And a lot of people may not know that also there was cuts to the Environmental Protection Agency, which is our main protector of clean air, and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. A lot of people don't know about NOAA, but it's the agency that gives all of the information about weather, and so that people know how to prepare for disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes. There's just the amount of money that has been slashed from these agencies that are protecting all of us is really, really deeply concerning. And then if that wasn't enough, right in the beginning of this administration, they've been giving a free pass to corporate polluters. There was an invitation sent to 500 plus corporate polluters, including power plants, chemical manufacturing plants, sterilizers, and other facilities, to say, just email the administration and we'll give you a free pass to ignore standards that you are being held to that protect our environment and allow you to release hazardous and toxic pollutants in the air. And as a result of that, about 53 petrochemical facilities and 71 coal plants and 8 iron ore processing plants and 39 medical sterilizers are able to get a free pass to violate 9 different standards for clean air. So most people have a lot of issues that they're following, but they don't have the opportunity to hear the magnitude of what's happening in terms of protecting us from these multiplier of threats that are attacking our health and making it dangerous for all of us.
Yeah, it sounds really dire. And you wonder, what we can do. We'll get to that. But the European Union is now pledging to work directly with states, with local governments, local authorities, and businesses, rather than dealing with Washington, because our president called climate change the greatest con job ever. And as you said, they've been handing out exceptions and pushing the oil companies to drill for even more fossil fuels. And we are one of the biggest polluters in the world. And we pulled out of the U.S. climate agreement, all these things. We did that again this year. And as you've mentioned, cutting back funding for green energy. So what does that look like when the EU says, forget the federal government, we're going to go state by state and try to work with you that way?
Even though in the recent years there's been a lot of progress in terms of regulation against, pollution, it wasn't always that way. And what we have to do is we have to remain vigilant. We have to not lose faith that we have to keep speaking up and contacting our local officials, because some people say, politics is local, but, a lot of the impacts on our health and on clean air are things that you can address locally. So your school board, your city council, your mayor, those are all public officials that you can communicate with to make a difference. And as long as we don't give up and we keep our energy level high and we keep telling people to speak up and empowering them to know, you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't know that we can, as people who live in our communities, we have the right to talk with our public officials. We have the right to go to the city council meetings and speak up. Moms members are very vocal and do take every opportunity to testify. We often testify in front of the Environmental Protection Agency, even since this new administration, which recently has been trying to take away one of the bedrock standards to protect clean air, what's called the endangerment finding. And that's the legal and scientific basis of EPA's ability to limit climate pollution. And if it's successful, it would cripple the essential protections that we need to fight global warming. So hundreds of testifiers over a 4-day public hearing, 40 of which were moms who gave testimony. And there were only about 25 people who testified against it, but telling EPA, we do not want to see the endangerment finding overturned and lose that legal and scientific basis of EPA's ability to limit climate pollution.
So I guess, knowing that you deal with the legal side, I'm just wondering, can we do that though? Is it legal for a state to deal directly with another country and bypass the federal government? Even as, I didn't realize this, that the U.S. government is trying to pressure European Union countries to cut back on their climate policies. They want to get rid of the deforestation laws and the corporate sustainability laws in other countries, not just our country. I didn't realize we were trying to be global influencers in favor of pollutants. But can we do that? Can a state just directly do dealings with another country and bypass the federal government?
I am not able to give a legal opinion about whether that can be done. What I can tell people is that if you keep speaking up and telling your public officials what's important to you, that is going to have an impact.
And I know you guys mostly deal with air, right? And which is one thing we can't live without. But I wonder about, they're now saying we can have more forever chemicals in our drinking water. It seems like there's an encroachment from all sides as far as more toxins entering our food stream, our water stream, and our air. And from a health perspective, I'm sure that's got to be of concern to the Moms Clean Air Force as well.
Right. I mean, the thing that we want to see is that every child should have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and be able to live in a healthy environment in their neighborhood. So it's all interconnected. It's somewhat, if you think about the fact that something like most people are familiar with the social determinants of health. And the concept there is that there are many factors that affect our quality of life. And it's the same when we're talking about the environment. Although we're focused on clean air is just a part of our total environment. So we align with other organizations who hold similar beliefs, even though they might be focusing on a different part of the environmental issues.
Almeta E. Cooper, tell us how we can join up with you, how we can be part of the Moms Clean Air Force or part of the solution, even if we're not part of your organization.
So one of the things that you can do if you want to be working with us is that you can go to our website at www.momscleanairforce.org, www.momscleanairforce.org, and you can join us. You can sign a petition. We've been petitioning for stronger air pollution standards for more than a decade. You can partner with us at the local level. We have in about 17 different states. We have field coordinators who are organizing at the state level, and you can also, again, you can join Moms, which of course we welcome you to do that as well. So, and joining really any climate organization would be something to do, and speaking up.
Well, Almeta Cooper, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate the conversation.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. And because your listeners are in Los Angeles, one thing I did want to say is if they wish to check on their air quality in Los Angeles, you have the air quality index that you can check at www.iqair.com and see what the air quality is, and especially for people who have asthma, that's something that they should be checking before their kids get on the bus.
Thanks so much for that. We will do just that. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and it's the perfect time to call me. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. It's day 15 of the government shutdown. House Democrats met behind closed doors to discuss their strategy. Black Maryland Representative Glenn Ivey shared his view on C-SPAN.
If the Republicans aren't careful, the last time they did something like this, the Democrats picked up 41 seats.
Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson says they will not negotiate until the government is reopened, blaming Democrats. NBC News, CBS News, and ABC News, along with Fox News and CNN, issued a joint statement saying they will not agree to the Pentagon's new press policies. The Pentagon gave outlets until the end of today to sign on to the new policies that outline rules that could lead to journalists being deemed as security risks and have their access taken away. And George Floyd would have celebrated his 52nd birthday today. Instead, he's being remembered 5 years after his murder. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Escape the confines of the city for the expansive beauty of the Santa Ynez Valley with a short 2-hour drive up the coast. Let Chumash Casino Resort be your destination getaway. Welcome to freedom. Go to chumashcasino.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are coming home with a 2-0 lead in the National League Championship Series. They beat Milwaukee 5-1 Tuesday night. Another spectacular pitching performance for the Dodgers. This time it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto delivered the first complete game in the Major League postseason since 2017. In 9 innings, he allowed only 3 hits and had 7 strikeouts. Milwaukee has scored only 2 runs combined in the first 2 games. Game 3 is Thursday afternoon at Dodger Stadium. First pitch at 3 o'clock. Major props to Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank. Blank's foundation announced a plan to provide $50 million in scholarships over the next 10 years to the 4 HBCU schools in Atlanta: Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown, and Spelman. Blank became an NFL owner in 2002 when he bought the Falcons for $545 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, this is Dominique DePrima. Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234 to reach my friend Zoran at the Basic Law Group.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Tavis Smiley with a final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. As you know by now, our major keynoters include Professor Richard Wolff and Dr. Cornel West. LA Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries: fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump's cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine. The Constitution is not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA County, Committee for the First Amendment, and more. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me tell you about this girl, maybe I should. I met her in Philly, and her name was Brian. See, we be making love constantly. That's why my eyes are a shade blood burgundy. The way that we kiss is unlike any other way that I be kissing when I'm kissing. What I'm missing, won't you listen? Brown sugar, babe. I guess high up your love, I don't know how to be. Brown sugar.
Question, KBLA delegation. Are we, in fact, experiencing a low-grade class war? Is it a class Cold War? I feel like when I look into this, there's contradictory trends. What do I mean by that? Well, if you listen to people on social media, maybe it's just the folks I follow. It seems like people are getting sick of billionaires. They're tired of excessive wealth being flaunted in their faces. I know I am. People don't really want to be Kardashians. They don't really want to be that blatant with it, that in your face with the bling. Well, we still see the celebs doing it and the sports guys wearing their diamonds and such. But I think there's less what I see in my social media feed. Let me be clear about that, because I definitely skew progressive in the things that I follow. But I feel like people are getting sick of the excessive wealth, the flaunting of riches in the face of other people starving in the streets, of the unhoused, of people starving in Gaza. I just feel like there's a trend toward that. At the same time, I was looking at this research from the Pew Research Center. It shows that the growth in income, like we've seen a pretty steady growth in income in the U.S. And the crazy thing is the growth in income for the middle class stalled out around 2000. It was pretty steady, had a bump in the road for the Bush crash, right? The Bush crash. But there was which was 2008, but there was a much greater stalling of the growth of middle class wealth around 2000. Now the growth in income for the last couple of decades, 2.5 to be precise, has gone to upper income households, right? So the rich are getting richer. That's what a fancy way of saying the rich are getting richer on the Pew Research. At the same time, the middle class, which was at some point it was the majority of Americans, is no more. The middle class is shrinking. It's no longer the majority of Americans. So that means right now the biggest share of the nation's income is going to rich people, upper income households. And the amount of money, dollars, real wealth going to middle class and working class homes is falling. So, basic concept, the rich are getting richer, the middle class is getting stalled out, not getting richer, in some cases getting poorer, but really what's happening is more people are falling out of the middle class into poverty, working class, or lower middle class. So what you have is rich getting richer, middle class hanging on by a thread but shrinking as a whole, and the number of folks who are low income growing. And here's the thing that I say is contradictory. The last election, we saw the lower class, the under-resourced voters earning less than 50 grand a year, which is the lowest income block of American voters. For the first time since the 1960s, the majority of Americans in the low income category voted Republican. So that's why I say it's contradictory. You would think that in a class war, the poor would be going against the oligarchs, and the middle class, upper middle class probably, and the wealthy would be siding with the oligarchs. And when you talk about billionaires, that is what's happening. But if you look at a more average or median baseline, it's a very different story. According to exit polls, Vice President Kamala Harris got the majority of votes from people making over $100,000 a year, the top third of earners in the United States voted for Kamala. The bottom group, the bottom block, the 50K or less, voted for Trump. Make it make sense. It appears to be at odds with their interests. To me, the only way to understand that is through a racialized lens that is clinging to the illusion of white privilege, and that somehow things will get even worse for them if you have a Kamala Harris as president, if you have a black woman or a black anybody or a brown anybody. That's the only explanation. Because as the middle class is shrinking, people are falling off that boat, going down into low income categories, homeless categories, and the wealth of those people is stalled out and no longer growing since 2000, which means for the past 25 years. And in those 25 years, the growth in income, which has remained steady, it's just that it's all shifted to the wealthy. How does that usher in the era of oligarchy, where the billionaires are running things and having their way with the United States, where you just have to write a check to the president and you can get an airbase or your own personal fake NATO? It is confusing, to say the least, but it also explains the fervor with which they're going after universities. Because the thing that makes those lower income folks turn away from MAGAism, turn away from Trump, turn away from this new Confederate oligarchy is education. If you have low income folks that get a chance to go to school, then they say, oh, this is how it works. And they turn away from that paradigm, which is not voting in their best interests, right? That 50,000 a year and less group, when they get a chance to go to the university and study, they are going to turn on the MAGA policies, which are not in their best interest, and probably, hopefully, eventually they'll have a chance to climb out of that income bracket, although certainly in this environment, there is no guarantee. I believe that as this gap between rich and poor continues to grow, as inflation continues to grow, unemployment, with these cuts that the president is doing right now under the shadow of the government shutdown, as all of this grows and creates a wider and wider gap between haves and have-nots, I believe that those Trump voters, those 50K and under folks who have turned toward the Republican Party, are going to turn on the Republican Party. And the so-called big, beautiful bill will jumpstart that on steroids, because this is what is making people going to make people lose their health care. Whether it's because they can no longer get Medicaid or Medi-Cal, or whether it's because they're not going to get the Obamacare subsidy. And if you don't get that affordable health care subsidy, guess what health care is? Not affordable. So can it flip? I believe so, but we'll have to see, because the barrier is the blindness of racism and white supremacy. The illusion, the delusional philosophy of white supremacy protects the super wealthy, the oligarchs, from the poor, with this delusion that they are part of you. I too can have a golden escalator, a golden potty in my own Melania. There's that delusion, the poorest white person thinking that they're better off than the richest black person, that continues to hold back the masses. It's the only way I can see it. Because the loss of wealth is real. The shrinking of the middle class is real. The falling off the cliff of many middle class families descending into poverty and working class status should be enough. It seems like it should be enough to make people wake up and smell the coffee. And yet, so far, it's not. Billionaire Mark Cuban seems to see the writing on the wall. He recently made a pretty revealing statement about it. I'll share that with you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
I gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Hi, this is Dominique DePrima. Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234 to reach my friend Zoran at the Basic Law Group.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Okay, so we're talking about this low-key class war, but it's kind of a twisted class war where the low-income folks have lined themselves up in the majority for the first time since the 60s with the Republican Party, which is now being controlled by billionaires. If Trump wasn't a billionaire before, he certainly is one now after having his hand out like a big beggar. just, taking bribes right and left. That really not a beggar, more like a mafioso. And then you've got Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, now the billionaire who is currently one of the controlling interests in TikTok, and has bought Paramount, which of course includes CBS, and is now looking to buy Warner Brothers, which controls CNN. Okay. So Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post and Amazon and a lot of other things, the billionaires have a seat at the table. The billionaires have controlling interest in the U.S. government right now. But the low-income folks have gone over there with them. It's some kind of identification with the wealth, even though it's not in their best interest. Well, sometimes people see the writing on the wall, and that's what I think this statement from Mark Cuban means. He's a billionaire. He's worth $6 billion. If you remember, he supported Kamala Harris, and he says that billionaires, it's fine for them to make money. Obviously, it's fine for them to have wealth gains. He says wealth gains for corporate leaders are okay, just as long as it's benefiting everyone properly. Compassion and capitalism, not greed, are what can make this country far greater. So he says multiple studies show that when everyone owns stocks, the results are better. That matches my experiences with multiple companies. Share the wealth. They're not doing that. The Elon Musks of the world are not doing that. They have to be taken to court even to pay their top-level executives. They're cutting worker pay. You see what Bezos is doing. He's fighting the unionization of Amazon tooth and nail. Same thing is happening at Starbucks. They don't want to share the wealth. But I think that Mark Cuban's statement comes from his understanding of this class war that is bubbling beneath the surface. And so far, the low income, the MAGA folks, most of them, not the wealthy ones that are flying in their private jets to protest, so-called protest, try to overthrow the government on January 6th. The majority, the under 50K crowd that's gone MAGA, they're going to start to see what's going on. And I believe Mark Cuban knows that. Just as they're starting to say, hey, wait a minute, why do Israeli citizens have universal health care and we don't? But we have to pay for their bombs and ammunition. We have to pay their munitions bill so they can starve children while our children are hungry, while we don't have health care. And I think that's what is represented by someone like a Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, you know what? My constituents do need a health care subsidy. Maybe it's time to end the government shutdown. I think the billionaires are in billionaire world for the most part, and they don't see it. But I believe maybe Mark Cuban is seeing the writing on the wall here and saying, we should share some of this wealth. Who needs $100 billion? Nobody. Who needs $10 billion? Nobody. You're not going to spend it in your lifetime. Why not pay workers a fair wage? Why not pay benefits? Why not give stock options? This is how we save the empire. If you want to save the empire, if you don't, well, then sit back and watch it burn. Sit back and watch it burn and hope, as somebody brilliant said on this show on yesterday, hope we can have some influence in how it's rebuilt. To be funny, build back better. Build back better, the radical version. Let it burn and see if you can influence the way it's rebuilt. I get that. But if you're a billionaire who considers themselves socially innovative or one who claims to care about the people, I mean, it's popular now to say on social media that nobody should be a billionaire, that nobody needs $1 billion, that we hate all billionaires. To me, it's not about hate. It's about fairness. You have a right to hoard your money, to make your money, to pursue your businesses. But at what point does it become morally indefensible to hoard wealth when people are starving on the streets, when people have no health care. And the America First crowd is watching us hand out money to Argentina and saying, wait a minute, we could use those $20 billion over here for schools, for health care, for student loans, for all the things that can make our lives just a little bit easier. And what does it feel like to walk around all day as an Elon Musk or a Larry Ellison, knowing that you single-handedly could end hunger in the United States? You could do that single-handedly. What does it feel like? How do you go to sleep at night knowing there are children starving, not just in Gaza, but in Tennessee? But you keeping all your money stuffed in the bank. I believe this class warfare, which is right now upside down with the poor having Stockholm syndrome and fealty to the MAGA billionaires, can flip just like a pancake, baby. And we shall see. That's why I would urge progressives not to be snide and condescending, not to give up, but to try to educate and bring people over to our side. We have more people already. If we can just get past the cheating, the trickery, and the delusion. A lot of us are mourning D'Angelo. I heard D'Angelo all over my neighborhood. I was playing it all over my house. My personal tribute to D'Angelo yesterday. But you know who's got a better tribute? Tavis Smiley. His whole first hour family is dedicated to D'Angelo, and he has had a number of in-depth sit-down conversations. Yes, I'm jealous, but I'm also in awe. I will be listening. I hope you will join him. Let's get our D'Angelo tribute on together. That's how Tavis Smiley starts his show this morning. Don't forget, let's keep it going. You can play with me on socials. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. We're at KBLA 1580 everywhere. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Like my mama used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. It's day 15 of the government shutdown. House Democrats met behind closed doors to discuss their strategy.